Arizona Cardinals starters and Kyler Murray will be attending and playing Saturday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Is it the right move? Yeah, no crap it is. Also, we got other things to talk about when it comes to the Cardinals depth chart that is released a couple of days ago. Is there a little bit too much youth movement? Let's talk about all that next.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need him. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like callus. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up, guys? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for continuously making this show a part of your day. You have a lot of other options, so continuously choosing this one means a ton to me. That's not what you guys are here, not for a bunch of thank yous and gratitude. We got some things to sink our teeth into when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals. It is straight up football season. We will be on Sunday exactly 1 month away from when the Arizona Cardinals will be kicking off their season against the New Orleans Saints on the road in New Orleans. So we got a lot of things to get into on this glorious Wednesday. So with that being said, follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. And what's the other thing I tell you guys to do? Like, share, subscribe to the channel, and potentially even tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. But like I said, there's a lot of things to get into. Let's talk about it all starting now. First, my guy, Chill Peasy, Ivan in the chat saying, game week. Listen, man, at some point, I'm going to get some software to be able to put your guys' comments up on the screen. However, just not there yet when it comes to the Ben Garcia Show, but appreciate your donation, brother. Also, for those that weren't in the stream on Monday, because we switched our times from Monday through Thursday to Monday, Wednesday, Friday streams. For those of you guys that don't know, I'm constructing a fantasy football league with my subscribers. I want to get 12 of us in there, so myself and 11 other subscribers. Maybe we end up doing a $5 buy-in, and we just do like a big Twitter chat or an Instagram chat. Not sure the logistics on it there, but if you are interested in that, I got a few spots available. Hit me up at Ben Garcia Show. I'll construct that. That'll be a ton of fun. I want to test my knowledge football-wise against some of my subscribers and loyal listeners, plus just some camaraderie. Sounds like a bunch of fun. My guy, Aaron, in the chat, $3.44 super chat. Again, thank you for the donation, and at some point, I will 1,000% get software to where I can actually put this up on the screen, but I need Kyler Murray and MHJ to play a lot in this preseason. So let's start there. Kick it off there. Yesterday, Jonathan Gannon came out and said that the Arizona Cardinals starters will be playing in preseason, led by Kyler Murray. However, guys, listen, I apologize. My wife just asked me if her bag is in here, and she is going to work. That is one of the, and it sure is. So let's just walk off screen, very professional of myself, I might add, and give her laptop back. In the middle of the stream, I might add. Here's your laptop bag. All right. What a heck of a way to start off the stream this morning. Very professional from myself, if I say so myself. Anyways, Jonathan Gannon has said that the Arizona Cardinals are indeed starting their starters, and Kyler Murray as well will be playing. The real question is it the right move? And I've kind of seen it from both sides of the aisle, whether it's the guys like Aaron and Ivan in my chats, or other people just big fans of the Cardinals saying, is it really necessary? Here's my take on the Arizona Cardinals playing their starters along with Kyler Murray. You know what it tells me? It tells me that things are different now. And there's a little bit, at least a little bit of pressure on this season, like I mentioned before, weeks ago on this show. Hey, there's some pressure on the Cardinals to succeed this season. I'm not saying Jonathan Gannon could get fired. I'm not saying Monty Ossenfort could get fired. I'm not saying, or I guess I should say, I'm not saying those things could happen if they're just missed the playoffs. However, I will say that if the Cardinals have a disastrous season, 3-14, 12 now, Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort could absolutely get fired, and there should be conversations about them doing so. And you'll say, why? Well, Jonathan Gannon did this up and up in his first 2 seasons and then crashed back down. And Monty Ossenfort had plenty of chances to go out and get a big name player, not like any big name player, but a big name player to help this team. Whether it's a Terry McLaurin, who I don't necessarily agree with, but a Micah Parsons, a Trey Hendrickson, a TJ Watt, if you will, all of those guys. He had a chance to go get every single one of them in a position that the Cardinals desperately need. And what if they don't have any sacks this year? What if they have issues getting to the quarterback? That's a Monty Ossenfort issue. That is a personnel issue. So that goes after Monty as well. However, with that being said, that's probably not likely that either guy's going to lose their job, because I think Monty Ossenfort is a rock-solid general manager. I can't put him in the tier 1 of guys until they actually have a winning season. And I think Jonathan Gannon is incredibly smart, talented, and knows how to surround himself with the right people, and is a CEO-level coach, a walk-around coach. He's not super hyper-focused on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. He's got his hands in a bunch of different things while trusting his coordinators. But it tells me the Cardinals know how important it is to start off fast against a fairly easy first couple of weeks of the season. Guys, their schedule, as I bring it up in front of me, is absolutely just mind-boggling easy for the first 6 weeks of the season. Let's just name out the quarterbacks. Cardinals versus Saints, Tyler Shuck. Bryce Young versus the Cardinals. Brock Purdy versus the Cardinals. Sam Darnold, Cam Ward, Anthony Richardson / Daniel Jones. It's not till they have their first real test until week 7 of the season against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers, who some people have legitimate concerns about in terms of his consistency and his ceiling. And so with that being said, the Cardinals have all sorts of reasons to play their starters. But most importantly, and I do think this is a real thing, last year, granted it was on the road, the Cardinals didn't necessarily start fast. I don't know if it's super important for Kyler Murray on his own to be out there in the preseason. It's year 7 for him. He knows how to throw an out-breaking route. However, it's super important for Marvin Harrison Jr. to get out there in the preseason. And then lies, you got to play Kyler Murray too. It's all about timing. It's all about footwork. It's all about knowing how many yards you're going to run before you break your route, either inside or outside. So although on its own, couldn't really care less about Kyler Murray playing, it's very important to get the timing down with Marvin Harrison Jr., especially last year, where they were, let's say, more or less wonky to start the year. So when we're talking about those guys playing in preseason, I absolutely agree with it. You need to go out there and play your starters and get ready to start off quick against an easy schedule. It is so important for the Cardinals to come out of that first 6 weeks at minimum 4-2. We've mentioned this before, but Tyler Shuck, Bryce Young, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Cam Ward, Anthony Richardson, and or Daniel Jones, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first 6 weeks of the season, you have to at minimum go 4-2. If you go 4-2, you feel really good about yourself. But you kind of want to go 5-1, potentially 6-0, because that last 6 weeks of the season is so treacherous. It's incredibly important that these guys are ready to go to start the season to give themselves some wiggle room late in the season. Because then you got Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, CJ Stroud, Michael Penix, who, is a little break in the action potentially. He could be awesome. Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford. That is a gauntlet to absolutely end the season. You got to be ready to go immediately. So I like the idea of Jonathan Gannon coming out and saying, oh, no. We're playing our starters. Kyler Murray's playing too. Because we understand the pressure that comes in the first 6 weeks of the season. Yes, you might think they're easy opponents and easy quarterbacks in the first 6 weeks of the season. It's a lot of Tyler Shucks and Bryce Youngs and Brock Purdy's and Sam Darnold's and Cam Ward's, Anthony Richardson's. But we see it as immense pressure because we know how hard the end of our season is. Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, just good quarterback after good quarterback. CJ Stroud. We got to be ready to go immediately the first 6 weeks of the season. We got to start fast, and more reps is good for us. Now, how much do the Cardinals play? I think 2 series is absolutely enough in the first game. At that point, you're just risking injury. If you run Marvin Harrison Jr. out there, and God forbid he has a catastrophic injury in in the first series of preseason, those type of freak things happen. You can't wrap yourself in bubble wrap forever. You don't want it to happen, but you have to understand that that's the risk of these things. As well as, when you're talking about Kyler Murray, same thing. If he rolls an ankle, if he, God forbid, fractures his hand, there's still time to get back for week 1 of the season, and I'm sure he'll be back fine. But the Cardinals need to get off to a hot start immediately. Those first 6 weeks are incredibly important. And I like Jonathan Gannon feeling the pressure, knowing we think we're going to be good this season. We think we could be a playoff team. But this cannot be a disastrous season because although no one is talking about my job now, if we go 4-13, 5-12, we're talking about next year me losing my job. And if you remember before, Jonathan Gannon didn't necessarily play his players a ton in the preseason, but he saw last year against the Buffalo Bills and now is seeing the bigger meaning of preseason. Get your guys ready to go. And that's really all there is to it. And if the Cardinals go out in the preseason and go 12 plays, 80 yards for a touchdown, I mean, it's a good confidence booster and morale and all that's great. But it's really just about not looking dysfunctional. Going out there and knowing the plays, getting set well, not having false start penalties. That's what the preseason's for. Let's just see the checkpoints and make sure everyone's on the same page. What I'm more interested in is the joint practices next week against the Denver Broncos, where all week the Cardinals ones will be going up against the ones defensively of the Denver Broncos. That's more important to me. But because the development of Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Trey Benson, James Conner, Kyler Murray are all so important, it is a absolutely, big brain move of Jonathan Gannon to play those guys. Okay. So with that being said, absolutely the Cardinals should play their guys. All right, here's the other thing. There's not a lot on the docket, with today's show. The games are starting to be played. We can be able to dive deep into that stuff, but also, the Arizona Cardinals released their first depth chart, and we didn't really talk about it very much on Monday's show because I believe it came out yesterday, so I don't know why we would have. However, this is interesting. The Arizona Cardinals released their depth chart, and as I fix this for you guys so you can see it more clearly, check this out. Will Johnson is now the starting outside cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals. In this defensive set where the Cardinals don't actually have a specific defensive set, sure, they're labeled as one thing, but in all reality, it doesn't actually matter. They play multiple different sets. And so and sometimes guys are defensive ends who are outside linebackers, and so on and so forth. However, the Arizona Cardinals starting Max Melton at the outside cornerback position. Alongside him, Will Johnson getting the nod, and then alongside him, Max Melton, Garrett Williams. I know this isn't such a big deal, and I might be over-exaggerating at least a little bit. And I'm not saying the Cardinals should go back from this. But one thing I'm worried about with starting so much defensive young guys is just that. They don't have a lot of reps under their belt. They don't have a lot of starter experience under their belt. And when you're talking about the Cardinals' best cornerback, that being Garrett Williams right now, he's only a third-year guy. Will Johnson, rookie. Max Melton, second-year player. Something to keep your eye out for. And I know they have DTR and Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker, whose name for some reason I almost forgot. I know they have all three of those guys back there ready to back those dudes up. But something to keep your eye on through the first couple of weeks of the season is, are opposing teams going to test their young corners? And I believe they will. I think Will Johnson is absolutely superb. I mentioned yesterday on the Cardinals Squad Show on the Locked On Cardinals YouTube channel that I host with my guys Alex Clancy and Jameel Douglas. I think Will Johnson has got some real shades of Jalen Ramsey in him. It's not fair to give those high praises right away, but one guy is 6'1", the other guy is 6'2", and then Jalen Ramsey is about 10 pounds heavier. So in the aggregate, they're roughly the same player in measurables. And he looks absolutely awesome. I'm watching highlights from the red and white scrimmage and training camp as a whole. And damn, man, I had to ask Jameel yesterday on the show, who's a former NFL player, hey, how much does the defense actually know what's coming? And he almost treated me like I was, being dumb, basically saying, well, he's an instinctive quarterback. Of course he's going to have those skills. And I just couldn't buy into that right away. Because he is jumping routes for the wide receivers. Maybe he's being a little risky in camp because you can be, and that's totally fair to say. However, he's running the routes for the wide receivers. It's absolutely mind-boggling. He looks incredible in camp. And I know some people have saw some shades of Patrick Surtain or maybe even a Patrick Peterson. But I never thought Patrick Peterson was as aggressive as Will Johnson is showing in his early stages. Jalen Ramsey is an aggressive dude. He will jam you at the line of scrimmage. Patrick Peterson was never big on the tackling thing. Will Johnson has got some early shades of Jalen Ramsey in him. He is strong. He's got really good skills. And most importantly, his instincts and reading the hips of wide receivers, jumping routes, man, it looks really good. I mean, you're going to have a stern rivalry between Garrett Williams and Will Johnson. Who's the better cornerback? Next year, not this year. However, with that being said, damn, it's a lot of youth on that Cardinals team. Will Johnson being CB1 already. He's earned it. You got to give it to him. He's the best player. But as well as Max Melton, Garrett Williams. That is some real youth in the starting cornerback positions. And opposing teams are going to test those guys and see if they have the ability, like they've had in camp, to shut down other teams' better wide receivers. And I'm just saying, it's something to keep your eye on. That's all. I'm not mentioning that guys will get burned or Will Johnson's not as good as advertised. I just gave the guy a Jalen Ramsey comparison. But Max Melton, it's only his second season. Garrett Williams, it's his third. He's not getting veteran days off yet. Will Johnson's a rookie. Other teams are going to test those corners. Now, I'm not just saying to start a veteran cornerback, just to start a veteran cornerback. It's very possible that these young guys are just absolutely better. In fact, that's what I buy. But I did see it and I went, oh man, that's a little concerning. Other teams are going to test that youth right away. So that's why when you see in the beginning, Tyler Shuck, Bryce Young, Brock Purdy, Cam Ward, Sam Darnold, you're like, okay, maybe they can get their feet under him with those types of quarterbacks at first. But make no mistake, they're going to test those guys immediately. Training camp video don't mean anything to the New Orleans Saints, to Kellen Moore. Oh no, we're going to test him. We're going to see what he can do under the bright lights in the Superdome. So, with that being said, man, it's something to at least keep your eye on. It's a little concerning. A little. Now, both guys have looked awesome, but it's a little concerning for now. I wanted to spend the last couple of minutes also talking about what you should expect from the Cardinals in their first preseason game. And it's kind of like what I mentioned before. Marvin Harrison Jr. can't look lost. He's got to go out there and show the exuberance and confidence that he's had all training camp long. Kyler Murray has got to be hitting guys in stride. Again, it's not important that they go 12 plays, 60 yards, whatever, for a touchdown, 80 yards for a touchdown. As my guy Jameel Douglas mentioned on the Cardinals squad show yesterday, oftentimes coaches will have a hush-hush handshake agreement that the Cardinals will play their ones and they're going to play in a spread offense the entire time because that's what they want to work on. And the Chiefs defense will play their 4-3 defense or whatever, dime look, nickel packages, and allow each team to kind of work on their technique there. And that's a really good place to end the show. We're kind of going back and forth a little bit here, but it's a good place to end. If you are the Cardinals and you're debating playing your guys in preseason, if the Kansas City Chiefs, who have won multiple Super Bowls over the last couple of seasons, are going to play their starters, you're not good enough to not play your starters. So again, I'm kind of going back a little bit there. However, this is why it's just a absolutely brilliant move by Jonathan Gannon to play your starters along with Kyler Murray in the preseason. You haven't earned anything. You haven't made the playoffs yet. You know who has made the playoffs and has won Super Bowls? The Kansas City bleeping Chiefs. And you know what they do every single year? We're playing our starters. Until you have earned the right to not play your starters like Sean McVay has or like other elite level head coaches have, you don't get to have that ability. You have not made the playoffs. You want to win like a champion, play like a champion, you need to practice like a champion. And that's what the Chiefs do. And if Andy Reid sees the value in preseason, so should Jonathan Gannon. You have not earned the right to scoff at the preseason, to roll your eyes at it. And so, as well with that, it's feeling the pressure. The Cardinals, if all things go wrong this year, 5-win team, 4-win team, if Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort don't lose their jobs because Monty had the chance to go out and get players to help this team and he chose not to, he stuck to his guns, and Jonathan Gannon regresses this year, you are absolutely talking about them losing their jobs this year, if not next year. Feel the pressure. Look around the league. See how great head coaches deal with the preseason. And if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes see the value in it, so should you. So for Kyler, Marv, Buddha, I don't care who it is. And I don't care if it's one series. but I'd like 2. As long as they're out there, it shows me that they feel the pressure that this season holds, that they know they have to get off to a fast start, that they know how tough their schedule is to end the season, and how important it is to be good right out of the gate. So with that being said, it's an absolutely bright move. Kind of jumped around a little bit on today's show, but there's been a lot of debate about the preseason. Should the Cardinals do it? Injury risk. Well, Andy Reid does it. And they're one of the few teams that still hit in practice. Maybe take a page out of their book. And it's absolutely the right move. Guys, do me a favor. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. We are live every day. We are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this channel at 7 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate those in the chat this morning. Do me a favor. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show, as well as, remember, starting a fantasy football league, 12-team, half-point PPR. I want to do it with my subscribers, with my listeners, with my loyal viewers of the Ben Garcia Show. If you are interested in being in that, maybe we do a $5 buy-in, maybe we don't, maybe it's just for kicks and giggles. DM me on some social media platform. I will see it. I've already got back to a few of you guys. I have a few more spots remaining at Ben Garcia Show. Shoot me a DM there. For my guys in the chat, Chill Peasy, Aaron, Michael, Robert, thank you so much for continuously making the Ben Garcia Show a part of your day. If there's something you want to hear me talk about, DM me it as well. I love interacting with you guys. So with that being said, for you guys in the chat, for myself, it's been the Ben Garcia Show, and I will talk to you guys when? Friday at 7 a.m.